Hey everyone, this is William, back with a very special video for Play-agricola.com's YouTube channel. I have the privilege to be joined with the two American qualifiers for the American representatives for the World Championships for Agricola in 2017. And I'm joined with both of them from Germany. Say hi please, Joe.
Hey, how you guys doing?
So Joe, known as Joeknapp38 on Play Agricola, who I've played with many times, and Lumin.
Hey everyone.
And Lumin, of course, goes by Lumin. And so you guys both are there representing the U.S. And so did you fly in earlier today or yesterday, or what sort of was your timeline?
Well, personally, I flew in last week. I came with my younger brother, came into Munich. Lumin did some traveling in Switzerland, and we met up with him later in Prague. And then just today, we arrived in Altenburg together.
Cool. And Altenburg is the town where, like you said, you went and visited the factory where the game is made.
Yeah, it was really sweet. And the town of Altenburg isn't very big. When on Wikipedia, it's like 34,000 people. It has this massive factory where it produces Agricola along with tons of other games.
Yeah, the factory advertised that they produce like 500 games. The town is super beautiful. It's my first time in Europe, and I think Joe's as well.
Yeah.
And we're both constantly struck by how beautiful everything is here.
Oh, that's great. So you've turned it into a little bit of a vacation, it sounds like, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had very limited notice of when and where this is taking place, but we were both able to secure about a week extra.
Awesome. Yeah, so you've been in Europe, and so just personally, you guys, so you're having a great time in Europe?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Had you been there before, or?
First time for both of us, actually.
Cool. So it's turned into, so at the very least, this has turned into an excuse to do some excellent traveling.
Yeah. You definitely say that.
Yeah, that's always how I saw it. I mean, the prize honestly was just the trip coming here.
For sure.
You know, playing in the event was just gravy. So,
so you got to tour the factory. So what was that like? How many people are there? You know, like how many other attendees of the event are there? Like who are the organizers? You know, if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So on the players' side, it's a bit of a smaller tournament this year. There's about 20 players, and I would say 70–80% of us were there for the factory tour. We had one of the PR heads for the factory give us the tour, and one representative each from Mayfair and Lookout were there touring with us. So the factory was mostly closed, I would say, it being a Friday afternoon, before I think it's a holiday weekend here in Germany too. But they did run a few machines while we were walking by, and that was pretty neat. I'll let Joe explain the rest.
yeah, it's just really hard to understand unless you see the scope of everything and to realize how many copies of every game they can churn out, you know, in a day, really.
Right.
And it was just really neat to see how they do everything here.
Cool. And so you mentioned you got representatives both from Lookout and Mayfair. Lookout, of course, being the German publisher, and Mayfair being I don't know if they're English only or if they're English North American, or what exactly that relationship is.
I think Lookout is Europe and the rest of the world, while Mayfair does North America, but I'm not 100% sure.
That sounds right to me, but I also don't know for a fact.
Yeah. So then, so like Mayfair are the people who put on the qualifiers that you guys both won. Is that correct?
Correct.
And
Right.
so what sort of was that experience like? Was like dealing with Mayfair, like has that all gone smoothly, would you say?
There have been a few kinks. They're doing their best, though. I mean, nationwide tournaments and then transitioning that to a world level where the people you're representing are just, you know, 2 people out of 20. That seems to be pretty hard to pull off, and I think they are struggling a tiny bit with logistics, though we've both arrived here safe and sound, and we're ready to play tomorrow, so I mean,
Yeah, I mean we've met other players from South Korea, from the UK, from France, from Belgium, just to name a few. So coordinating all that is certainly difficult, but it's gone well for the most part so far.
yeah, and I think back to your original question on the U.S. qualifiers, I'm familiar with Mayfair through. I was actually a Catan player in national tournaments before coming to Agricola.
Oh, cool.
So and Mayfair ran those tournaments, so I was kind of in the loop when Mayfair transitioned over for Agricola. But I understand for many people it's a lot harder to find information on Agricola tournaments in the U.S.
Yeah, I have to say my first awareness of it was when Joe comes on, or Chris. I don't know if it was even Joe. I think Chris posted, "Congratulations, Joe, for winning the U.S. national qualifier," and it was like, "Oh, that's a thing that just happened." Okay.
You want to know what's hilarious about that? I'll tell you. So I used to go to Gen Con all the time when I was younger, and a few friends of mine were interested in going again. So I said, "Oh yeah, sure, that'd be great," you know. And some games that I used to play, I'm not into anymore, but Agricola is one of those games that's just, you know, stuck with me throughout the years. And so I tried to find some events to play while I was at Gen Con, and I saw there was a qualifier. I had absolutely no idea what it was for or where you would go if you won. And it gets worse than this. And so I start the event and I see all these cards and I'm completely unfamiliar with them.
Right, yeah.
I had no idea there was a revised edition. But yeah, I played and I was fortunate enough, lucky enough to advance. So that's how I ended up here.
That's really great. And I did notice both of you guys have been online, like playing a little bit the past week. Have you been doing some practice?
Yeah, we've done a little bit of practice. Yeah, it sounds a bit guilty from our ends to say we haven't been taking our vacation to the fullest, but you know, it's kind of hard to leave Agricola out of your life at some point.
Well,
yeah.
If it's what you love to do, you love to do it wherever you are, right?
Yeah. And of course, we had to do a few face-to-face games with each other, you know, just because good experience. So.
For sure. I have to imagine that there will be a bit of an adjustment there because you guys are so, like, I don't know about you guys, but I like only play online at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I play a vast majority online, but it translates pretty well. I guess for me personally, you know, just keeping track of other people's resources is the harder thing, you know, knowing what they're capable of, but it translates
right
for the moment for me.
So you guys, go ahead, Lumin.
I would say I'm pretty lucky to have a few friends that live near me and love to play. For instance, John Swar from the site lives across the Bay Area from where I do, and we've been able to meet up a few times in the last year and play live with some other people in my area. And also shout out to my friends in LA who I met and played Agricola to start off with. I still get to play with them live a few times a year.
That's great to hear. So speaking of meeting up with people, so did you just have like a welcoming event, welcome dinner and everything?
Yep. I think a couple of people still aren't here, but Mayfair and Lookout teamed together at the hotel to give us a wonderful dinner, a short speech, and some really cool swag. I don't know, Joe.
Yeah, there were a couple like a nice travel mug and even a bumper sticker in there. I'm not sure if I'll be putting that in my car yet, but it's pretty neat nonetheless. There's a couple exclusive cards in there as well, so.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And for people from the U.S. who have played qualifiers here, I think these promos have been circulated a bit before. So it's foil versions of the Fruit Tree card in the revised set, which is the same except it costs a wood. And then there's an occupation that's new called the Wood Scrounger.
Very cool. So you got your hands on some exclusive merchandise.
That's right.
Yep.
So have you guys been talking with the other players very much? So like, for example, never know how to say his name. I know Dejef or Def is at the event. Any other people from online play that you guys have spoken with?
So I think the most appropriate way to answer would be to back up a tiny bit. When Joe and I were in Prague, we actually met up with Maruska,
Oh, cool.
their player from Play-agricola.
Yeah.
And he's Czech, and Dave, I think, is actually the closest pronunciation because I think he goes by David sometimes. But I think, Maruska and Dave know each other in real life, and we heard that unfortunately Dave was unable to make the tournament this weekend due to family issues.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Oh, but that's really cool. It's cool.
I think everything will be fine, but yeah.
That's cool that you guys have managed to meet up with some people.
Even gave us a ride here. So, yeah.
Well, that works out really nicely.
It does.
So I guess I'm interested to know, like, what are your goals for the next 2 days of play? Is that what's the plan is, I think?
If we do well, it's 2 days of play, yeah.
Okay. So I guess you could tell me a bit about that. Like, what's the format going to be? Like, what are you up to tomorrow?
So the format is 3 Swiss rounds. We have about 20 people, so they're going to cut based on game points. And game points are the winner of a game gets 8 points, the second place person gets 5, the third place person gets 3, and the fourth place person gets 1. Any ties, you split the total point value.
Right.
And based on total game points, you're in a Swiss tournament, you're sectioned off with the people with similar scores. And after 3 rounds, they're going to take the top 8 tournament scores and put those people into 2 semifinal games, and that's the last game of tomorrow. And then the top 2 players from each semifinal game will play a 1-game final on Sunday morning.
Ooh, so it's all gonna come down to 1 game, eh? That's I'm interested, considering that I'm interested to hear that they only have 1 game planned for Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, the final will only be made up of Play-agricola players, and we can all agree to play a 3-game final or something.
As the way it should be.
Yeah. Putting it down, like, hopefully nobody gets like I don't know, caravan or something.
It's gonna happen.
So that's cool to hear, though. So, like, do you guys have, like, personal goals for performance? Like, is your goal make it to Sunday, or get out of the round of 20 or whatever?
Well, I mean, people can say what they want, play your best or make it to the semifinal, but we all want to win.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yeah, so if you don't win, you'll be a little disappointed.
Well, heading into the weeks before this, I would have said no, that just winning the trip here was really the prize. But now that I'm here, and now that I see everyone else and the competitive juices are flowing a little bit, yeah, I want to
win. How about you, Lumin?
I have pretty strong goals myself, too. I know I don't have the overall Agricola experience as some people in the tournament, such as the one sitting next to me. But I think my experience with the revised edition specifically is pretty good.
Yeah.
So based on that, I think I want to make the final for sure.
Right. Yeah, Lumin has more AG2 experience than I do. I would say he's probably the tournament favorite, honestly.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not.
Well, that's a pretty high praise there. But
yeah, I can't believe you said that.
Well, I'm honestly, I'm really grateful that you guys have like taken the time out of your trip to do this, just to talk to me. On a personal note, I'm disappointed that there's no, like, it doesn't seem like there's going to be any sort of online presence for the event. And I just think that seems like such a missed opportunity to me. Like, geez, if you could stream 2 days of play on Twitch or whatever, and then you can post it on Board Game Geek on Reddit,
yeah.
That seems...
So we have Wi-Fi in the hotel. And I'm not exactly sure which conference room we're going to be playing in yet. But I do plan on seeing what I can do from that end.
That'd be so cool. And even obviously, I don't want to take anything away from what you guys are going to do competitively, but if you feel so inclined, if you want to record your thoughts after the game or whatever, either with me or just personally, and we can talk about it later or whatever, I think that would be really cool to do. Just because it's like, I think there are people interested in knowing what goes on at this event, and unfortunately, there's not a lot of ways to do that.
Right.
Yeah. Is there anything, any kind of final thoughts or anything that you guys wanted to say before we finish up?
I think
one minor thing.
Oh, please.
One minor and Doc thing, actually.
Yeah.
So we
that was good.
Yeah, the tournament, we had instructions given out to us about half a week ago, pretty late in the cycle, and they actually told us that we were going to be playing with the Artifacts deck, which is coming to Essen, I believe, as its first official release.
Wait.
Yeah.
You're saying you're going to be playing with an unreleased deck?
Absolutely.
That was the plan. And we even saw a sneak peek of some of the decks in the factory today that we maybe shouldn't have seen, but I think one of the French players with a very sharp eye spotted that deep in a bin somewhere were the Artifacts, Ox, and Miners.
They were there.
Yeah. And being good tourists, like all of us players were, we didn't take any out of the bin in the factory.
We absolutely could have.
So the end of the story goes, when the factory gave Mayfair and Lookout the game copies for tomorrow's play, they expected the Artifacts decks to be in there. Upon further inspection right before our dinner a couple hours ago, the Artifacts decks were not in there, and they were expected to be in our swag bags as well, but were not. So the decision made by the tournament organizers here, which I guess I can't disagree with, is that we won't be playing with Artifacts tomorrow.
And we were told, too, that the decks have been shipped out to various sites already, too, to all over the world.
As a reason for why we don't have them today.
Yeah.
It
is a little mind-boggling. It is. But...
So if that just sounded confusing to everybody listening, it kind of is. We know for a fact that Mayfair is trying their best, and they do. I do feel sorry for them because they do look pretty flustered at this fact.
And they have a difficult job to do.
Yeah. So I wouldn't necessarily blame them at all, but it is something we did get excited about and are slightly unhappy about. But we're at a world championship, so
yeah, it's hard to complain, honestly.
Well, so there's kind of two interesting angles here. The first is that I think you guys, like, it would be crazy if they're releasing an expansion deck and didn't give you guys a free deck. That to me, that's kind of crazy. But then on the other hand, to play with it when it's not been released yet, wasn't not really sure how that exactly was going to work. Had you guys, because you guys hadn't even seen the cards like prior to going to the event, is that correct?
So I guess let's address your first question first. And Mayfair and Lookout did say that even if we don't get the decks this weekend, they will ship them to us when they get.
Cool.
Right.
Yeah. So that is definitely not a concern of ours in the long run. As for have we seen the decks? Have the contestants seen the decks? I think in the original World Championship in 2011, I heard that they did the same with the WM deck when it was first released. Just gave it to the players and had them play with it. So that it kind of is a running theme for World Championships, I guess. But I think Joe and I would actually have somewhat an advantage because we've been playing with the playtest version of the Artifacts deck online a bit.
I mean, yeah, people who play online, I think, do have a clear advantage, and not only just all the experience from that, but seeing the deck ahead of time is even more experience. So maybe that's a little unfair to people who exclusively play offline.
For sure. And just even the development of a metagame over the course of the tournament, just like if you do have people seeing the cards for the first time, well, you know, someone might undervalue or overvalue this based on, you know, based on how it appears or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that's, yeah, that's kind of surprising. I mean, like obviously, like, so then is the plan that tomorrow they're going to have the decks to play with, or they are not going to use the artifacts deck? Sorry, where did that end up?
They're not. It's just going to be AG2, just the original revised edition that we'll be playing with.
So that's a little bit disappointing for considering it sounds like you guys were practicing with artifacts.
Yeah, I mean,
and
not
Joe
as
wrote
much
up
as...
Joe wrote up a pretty nice strategy guide for top cards also.
Yeah, I tried to put in a little work anyway.
Well, that's interesting that an event that you would think should have been so far in the planning has had that kind of a hiccup in particular.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I don't know what to say more than that. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to add?
I hope we've just stated facts and not necessarily opinions.
Yeah.
Well, okay. From my point of view, it sounds like you've been very fair, and you're obviously super appreciative of the opportunity that you guys have been given. I hope you guys continue to enjoy it to the fullest. Other than that, for me, all I have to say is good luck tomorrow, and hope you both make it to Sunday. Really eager to hear about everything that goes on. Is there anything you guys would like to say?
Just thanks for the opportunity to give us to speak to everyone about this.
Yeah, and if things, if we end up having time tomorrow, hopefully we can give a recap of that too.
Yep.
And then hopefully on Sunday you're talking again to the winner.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, I'm gonna try to make that happen, even if it's not one of the two of you. But if we could do that, that would be particularly cool. Personally, I'm rooting for Team North America. Even though I'm a Canadian, we're the 51st state, I guess, right? So
yeah.
All right. Well, thanks very much for you guys. Good luck. Yeah, take it easy.
All right.
Thanks, William.
Bye.
Bye, guys.